Hi everyone, Alda Psych here. I am doing part two of the practical art of suicide assessment. This is for informational purposes only, and let's let's continue. Okay, so other areas that the author mentions: experiencing loss, for example, loss often experienced during aging, such as loss of mobility or loss of cognitive functioning, skills, self-support, self-care, etc. He referenced, the author did, he referenced the psychoanalyst Bruno Bettelheim, who in his later years, he was well into his 80s, I think, he had lost his wife, he'd suffered some strokes, and that had impacted his ability to write, among other things. He basically lost hope. Okay, hope is really huge in terms of wanting to continue with life. Well, he basically lost hope and ultimately committed suicide. So hopelessness is really a suicide risk. Um, Loss of another kind, loss of respect or public approval, think public humiliation, is also a real area of concern. Now, the author mentions that individuals with mature personality structures, think intact self-boundaries, are different than individuals with immature personality structures, think borderline personality disorder here, and that individuals with immature personality structures tend to be impulsive in their suicidal action. And, they tend to see things in all or none, black or white terms, etc. The problem occurs, however, for individuals with mature personality structures when depression starts to kind of invade their cognitive processing, so that they too begin to see things, in all or none terms or black and white terms. So this is real important when dealing with issues and trying to find a middle ground, in your thinking, in terms of what can help you deal with stressful situations. Now, psychosis should be considered a potentially major suicide risk, and the client should be assessed to see if command hallucinations, auditory commands to perform specific acts, to see if they're pushing the individual towards self-harm. Now, what's interesting is that individuals that experience long-term psychotic processing are more likely to commit suicide, not when they're actively psychotic, but actually when they're more lucid and just having to deal with and experience the feeling of being, demoralized from years of pain and frustration, from the disorder over all of that time. Now, the author reported that in terms of completed suicide, major depression leads the pack. Okay, an unenviable first place, major depression. That's followed by individuals with alcoholism, and I believe that also includes substance use here, and then schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder. Now, this book is written back in 1999. I think that still kind of fits. But do your own due diligence and double check that. Now, here's the kicker. Just a lot of people don't just have one particular diagnosis. They have dual diagnosis or more. So if you have major depression along with panic disorder, well, then that really shoots up, increases the likelihood of suicide. Okay, so we're going to end it with two acronyms that the author mentions. The first one is SAD persons, and then the second one is no hope. And this is just to kind of tell you, okay, where does this person fit in terms of, how much you need to pay attention in terms of the probability or, increasing the odds and likelihood of suicidal behavior. So SAD persons stands for sex, age, depression, previous attempt, ethanol abuse or alcohol abuse, rational thought loss, social supports lacking, organized plan, no spouse, sickness. Okay, so all those demographics, sex, age, things like that. Uh, at least statistically, you can kind of figure out where a person is in terms of those demographics. Previous attempt is real important. All of the information there under sad persons is important. And the author also added on another acronym. I think this was his own, uh, which he called No Hope. So, no framework for meaning, overt change in the clinical condition. So we've got some regression here, or some signs that indicate, okay, things have deteriorated. And then hostile interpersonal environment, out of hospital recently, predisposing personality factors. So, for example, a person with a controlling personality who then loses, or has a loss of control under whatever situation or circumstances, and that kind of impacts him harder than individuals that don't have that controlling personality. And then finally, excuses for dying to help others. So these are all things that you can see with the help of those two acronyms that you might think, oh, okay, yeah, this person is, I'm checking off a lot of boxes here under sad persons, or no hope. I've got to be extra diligent. Okay, so that is it on part 2. Okay.